It was obviously a good win, for our team. I think one of the most important things in this past game is when things didn't go well early, especially defensively, there was really no panic. Did a really good job. First two drives of the game offensively, coming up with scores, field goal and touchdown. Then the defense sort of settled down, and you never, in boxing, you never know when you have a good fighter until the guy gets hit and gets staggered and see how he takes a punch. And, in a tough environment, in a tough situation, I was really pleased with the way our team sort of competed through, a lot of things that happened early. We played well on the line of scrimmage, both sides of the ball, and could run the ball effectively, had balance on offense, and, stopped their running. But the biggest thing we have to do is eliminate mental errors that give other teams opportunities, whether it's how we block them, how we run routes, how we get in the right formations, or how we play coverages and don't make mistakes, and how we match people up and what we do, and eliminate mental errors. Just can't give other people opportunities. There's too good a teams that we play, and it's important that we continue to improve as a team and focus on the things that we need to focus on. This sort of change of schedule for today was, something that was planned. It has nothing to do with outcomes, and it has nothing to do with opponents. We've done this every year. When we play 8 games in a row, we don't like to play more than 6 without changing the routine, giving the players basically 2 days where they don't do much. And we're going to do some walkthroughs today, but I just think it's important that after so many games that they have a little extra recovery time. But I think it's important that everybody knows that, regardless of what happened in the last game, this was planned for this week, and we've done it every year. If we don't have a bye week and the season doesn't get broken up, we're never going to play more than 6 games in a row without, doing this. So I think, the big thing is, everybody's got to keep in mind that you've never really arrived as a football team. Every team that we play in the SEC is a very capable team. Vanderbilt's certainly a very capable team. They've got 19 starters back from last year's team. They've already won more games than they won last year and gotten off to a pretty good start, and done enough offensively to score points, and doing a good job with the players that they have. And their defense has been very opportunistic and lead the nation in interceptions, and they've done a really good job of playing very, very good defense. So unlike what people sometimes have a perception of, this team is 3-1, and a good team that beat Ole Miss and played South Carolina tough at South Carolina. So we need to be focused on what we need to do to take care of our business and get ready to play our best football game of the year and continue to improve as a team. From an injury standpoint, C.J. Mosley will do some things on the practice field this week. I don't know where he'll be by the end of the week. Eddie will probably be in a boot for a couple days, but we'll make a determination on him later in the week as well. We were pleased with some players of the week. Obviously, Trent Richardson had a fantastic game. I'm sure he'd be the first to talk about the offensive line. William Vallejos and Chance Warmack also players of the week offensively, but hard for me to imagine that anybody have a better game than Trent Richardson had anywhere in the country, against good competition, and did a fantastic job. Defensively, Courtney Upshaw and Alex Watkins. Courtney had an outstanding game, and Alex, for the number of plays he had and the production he had, was very, very good. And on special teams, Marquise Mays, Brad Smelly, and Vinny all did a really good job. So, we're certainly looking forward to playing at home this week. And, I know it's homecoming, which is a tradition for a lot of people to be able to come back to something that's important to them. And we certainly want to do what we can do to make that, happy for everybody who comes back for homecoming.
Yeah, Coach, I don't know how much of an emphasis was placed on finishing games this year, because it seems like y'all have done awfully well in the fourth quarter.
Well, it's a part of the philosophy of the program since we've been here for 5 years, is that we want to win in the fourth quarter, that we have a fourth quarter program, which is basically the strength and conditioning program that we do in the off season, summertime. I think we try to get our players to believe that the hard work that they do is going to contribute to their ability to be more physical for longer and to finish games better. And that's something that we try to build as a part of the program. Each one of these things, stand for something: commitment, discipline, toughness, pride, work. All those things are really important to being able to win in the fourth quarter, and try to sell our players on that.
Can you talk about the progression of A.J. McCarron and help people understand what he's doing on the field to help this offense do what it's doing?
Well, A.J.'s doing a good job. I think he's done a good job of managing the game in both road games in some pretty tough circumstances and environments. And I think the big thing is, he's kind of making good decisions. We're not turning the ball over. We haven't turned the ball over for several games now. Not trying to put it places that it shouldn't be. Probably need to do a better job overall in the passing game, but that's not really the quarterback. I mean, we did a better job in protection. We got to do a better job of taking the right splits, getting in the right formations, running routes a little bit better, paying attention to detail in the passing game that makes the difference when you play teams that are going to play close coverage, which, good teams play man-to-man, especially in deny the ball down situations. So, but I've been really pleased with, the way A.J. has improved, and hopefully he'll continue to improve throughout the season. And, we'll be a little bit more explosive, hopefully, down the field and making some plays in the passing game. Had a couple opportunities in the last game and just missed them. But I think it's going to be important that we start making some of those.
Coach, without C.J. Mosley, can you take us behind the curtain a little bit as to how you decide who you play in his place? Is that more of a down and distance? Is that the opposing team's personnel grouping, or what? Why do you plug in who in what situation?
Well, he only plays in certain personnel groups, and he only plays on certain down and distances. So logically, the person you choose to take his place would sort of fit the same kind of role. And, I think a lot of things come into consideration. Sometimes you might have the better guy athletically to do it, who may not have the knowledge and experience. I personally would rather put players on the field that'll do the right thing and not make mental errors, even if maybe they don't match up quite as well physically. But we take the best players that we have available. Nico kind of took his place in nickel this last week and did a really good job. Dante took his place in dime. So then Alex Watkins and Adrian Hubbard took Dante's place in dime. And a couple of the other personnel packages that we have, we didn't use. A little bit because of what Florida did, and a little bit because of where we were personnel-wise.
You've been throwing the ball quite a bit on first downs. I think it was 7 out of the first 10 first down plays the other night, 6 out of the first 9 in the second half. How much of that is helping to open up the running game, keeping the defense honest?
Well, I think the balance is the most important thing, and I think the best down to throw it on is first down. You usually know what you're going to get, especially if you can run the ball. The other team's probably 70 or 80% of the time some kind of safety down, middle of the field closed, type of, which, is the best time to throw it. And I think we have to, continue to mix it up and try to keep the team off balance based on whether it's formations, how we line up, and, some of the packages that we put together based on what they line up in, that determines what we do. So some of that is called, and some of it's, this is the best thing to do against this particular situation. So, and we've been doing a good job of that. When I talk about game management, that's the kind of stuff that I'm really referring to. So.
Also, we know Cade Foster has a strong leg, but his kickoffs aren't reaching the end zone. Are they high and short by design, and why?
No, they're not high and short by design. I wish I'd kick it in the stands. I can't tell you why. Technically in practice he does a really good job. I think he has to have confidence that if he carries over those same fundamentals in the game, that's going to be the best way to get the best results. And that's something that he has to, to continue to work through psychologically so that he's confident and believing in the process. It's no different than, my golf swing. When I swing it right, I hit it straight. And when I don't, it goes sideways. And it doesn't go very far. And I can't tell you why.
Coach, it's particularly an emphasis, I guess, at the NFL level, but at college level too, in terms of more protection for the players from the officials, and yet it seems like the personal foul and some of the contact, it's hard to see it being consistent this year. Do you feel like the players are being protected? Do you feel like defensive players in particular know what they can and can't do right now without getting a flag or with getting a flag?
Well, first of all, I think our officials have done a really good job. And it's pretty obvious if I think they're not in most cases, which is something I'm not necessarily proud of. But there's only been a few of those circumstances. So that's a good thing in terms of the job that I think, the officials that we've had have done for us. I do think that there's probably a little bit more of people trying to sort of enforce their mojo on other people, if you know what I mean, just by whether it's trash talking or a little extra hit or a little extra push, as if that's going to some kind of way give them an advantage. And I think that challenges the officials to control, which, it started a little bit in this last game, and I think they kind of nipped it quickly. Couple flags, and then it was gone. So, we're constantly trying to tell our players that does not help us win a game. You should never talk to the guy you're playing against. You got nothing to say to that guy. All right, we should be doing our talking with the way we play, the effort that we give, the toughness that we play with, how physical we are, the discipline that we play with, and you cannot lose your poise. You cannot lose your poise. And that's an issue that we need to work on with, several of our players that have sort of kind of gotten drawn into this in the last couple games, and they can't do that. Just doesn't help us win. And if we get a penalty, it actually hurts us.
I think your opponents have scored about half of their points in the first quarter. How important or how well have you guys done adjusting to what you've seen in the first quarter for the rest of the game?
Well, I think there's two parts to that. We really haven't played worth a damn in the first quarter is one way to look at it. And that was certainly the case in this last game where we gave up half the yards. They didn't change players, and they didn't really change what they were doing. And we did make some adjustments and adaptations to it, and they did do a few things that we probably hadn't practiced a lot. And sometimes, especially in that kind of environment, players don't adjust and adapt maybe fundamentally like you wish they would. So the one part of that would be we need to play better in the beginning. And the other part of it, depending on how you want to look at it, would be we play better as it goes because we make good adjustments, which we do. They get good information. But I think part of it is how a player thinks when he starts the game. You know, and I think in the more emotional games, players probably are more emotional and think less, which affects mental errors. And, you know, high anxiety is not something that will help you make good choices and decisions. So that's something that we need to manage a little bit better. And I think the way you do that is just go back to thinking. Just think, what am I supposed to do? What's my assignment here? What's the call? How do I execute that? Where should I line up in this formation? And paying attention to detail rather than be so anxious to want to make a play or do well or whatever that you start taking some shortcuts that really don't help you get where you want to go. So that's takes maturity. You know, guys that have confidence and are mature usually do a pretty good job that way. So.
Two things, please. One, what was your take on the sack and non-fumble, I guess you would call it? And then also, is the interior line on the offense getting a lot better, a lot more cohesive as a group?
Well, I thought the line offensively played very well in the last game. You know, we got a hat on a hat. We got movement. I mean, you don't run the ball as effectively as we ran if the offensive line doesn't play well. We had good protection for the most part. Never gave up any sacks or negative plays that way. There's certainly room for improvement, and we'll continue to work to try to you know, get better and play with more consistency. You know, I really think the officials got it right, you know, on the field. I think it was called a fumble. The beanbag went out. The ball was in sort of a unique position. First of all, the player got hurt, which is unfortunate, you know, on that particular play. And the ball was sort of laying under him. Our guy kicked it out. Somebody else blew the whistle thinking that he had recovered the ball. So once that occurred, then the play was over. That's the way it happened. But I thought the officials got it right. Now, maybe they could have explained it, you know, or made an announcement or something so everybody would have understood it. But they got it right. I mean, you know, the referee threw out the beanbag. They got it right.
As you guys reach the halfway point of the regular season this weekend, are there any question marks that you and the coaching staff have about the identity of this team, or are you pretty much set in what kind of a group you're dealing with this year?
Well, I think, you know, you start to establish an identity the first time you play. I think you want to try to build on that identity, and, you know, because that identity can move in one direction or the other. And consistency is what I would be more focused on right now in terms of to continue to play at the level that we play. And the most challenging thing for players is to practice well. I mean, because the thing that happens is when you don't practice well, you lose fundamentals. You don't play with good fundamentals. That affects your ability to have success in the game. And, you know, we play against so many different things that you start getting assignment-oriented and thinking of what I'm supposed to do and spend less time practicing and thinking about how I need to do it. And that, to me, is the most important thing as the season progresses so that you improve. So, you know, I can't tell you what the identity is. You have your own opinion about that. I have my opinion about it. I know some areas that I'd like to see it continue to grow and develop. But, you know, this team has demonstrated pretty good leadership and pretty good competitive character to this point, and I'm sure that's going to get challenged on numerous occasions every game that we play in the future.
I just wanted to ask you about Nico in that role as, you know, in the nickel package. And how did you do Saturday? And you know, with CJ being out, how crucial is that spot?
Right. Well, Nico did a good job. He really did a good job, and you know, he plays the run well, which was probably really important in that last game. You know, we got to playing more and more zone because they were bunched and running crossing patterns all the time, which, you know, we play man-to-man, and that's kind of what we messed up in the beginning of the game on a couple third downs, and started playing more zone as the game went on, and that was more effective for us. And he does a good job. He drops the right places, and so, and it wasn't because of him that we started playing zone. He didn't do anything wrong. It just was more favorable schematically to what they were doing and what we needed to do. But Nico did a good job in the game. I was pleased with the way he played.
Coach, Larry Smith seems to have progressed nicely into a solid dual threat quarterback and running the offense more efficiently than he had in the past. If you've seen the film on him, could you comment on the progress he's made and the type of threat he presents under center? Right.
Well, you know, they do a really good job with their offense, and obviously, you know, Larry does a good job of directing their offense. You know, they're sort of a no huddle, a lot of checks, a lot of Nike checks, whatever you want to call it, looking at the sidelines, coming back. He gets them in the right play. He does a really good job of executing. He's really improved as a passer. Even though they throw a whole lot of screens and bubble passes and things that complement the running game that they have with their offense. But I didn't see him last year. We didn't play him, so I didn't see him that much. But I think he has done a really, really good job, you know, this year executing at the quarterback position.
Coach, you preach about physicality and toughness. Is that a way to describe Jesse Williams, and what do you think about his progression so far to this point of the season?
Jesse's done a good job for us. He's played well. You know, he's really improved a lot from the spring to the fall, and each game this fall. He's a good practice player. He's a smart guy. He's learned how to use his hands better. He's become a little better pass rusher, and he's a very physical guy and difficult to block. So, you know, Jesse's been a real key, I think, to, you know, helping our front, and has done a really, really good job. I'm really pleased with the way he's progressed, and he's actually played. I think he's come along quicker than I thought he might. And, you know, basically he just hadn't played as much football as a lot of these other guys. You know, he grew up playing rugby or whatever they play in Australia. And I got a rugby national, you know, shirt and all that for the rugby team, not for the football team.
Coach, the defense has only given up 198 rushing yards through 5 games. Can you speak to performing at that high level for that sustained period?
Well, first of all, those statistics are not correct. All right, because when you take sacks off and passing plays off of rushing, it's not right. All right, so I look at how we play the run on the running plays. And when that quarterback scrambles for 27 yards, that's a pass play to me, and we messed it up. So that really doesn't go on the rushing yards.
If you
So
throw
it
out
goes
all the
both.
if you throw out all the what you're saying and just look at the running plays, how pleased have you been?
Well, I was happy in the last game. I think we can tackle better, keep leverage on the ball better. We missed some tackles in the last game. We need to keep doing what we do, but what we need to do is the defenses that we play, that we stop the run in, we have to convert to pass rush better on play action passes. And that would be the big point of emphasis that I would make. So, you know, I don't think I need to tell you that if that's what we're doing statistically, that's pretty good. You know that. I don't even know why you're asking me.
Coach, I'm not normally a very good lip reader, but when AJ got a little excited on the field, coming off, could you maybe paraphrase what message you were trying to get across to him?
I was trying to get him to settle down. And after about the fourth or fifth time of saying, will you settle down? Settle down, settle down, settle down. You know, then I probably said something I wish I wouldn't have said. Because when your daughter tells you, it really makes you feel bad, you know?